Next question. Haven't others tried all this before?
One thing that just threw me into convulsions 10 years ago is I read book after book after book of church history, and from every conceivable bent or strain, from total atheists to very religious men representing denominations to men that supposedly representing nothing but just historical religious accuracy. And I remember one night, late at night, just taking one of those books and just heaving it against a wall, and I went out walking in the street and pouring down rain, sat down under a tree in the mud and just cried, because in my argument with God was, why bother, God? I mean, all of religious history has just been, one seemingly good thing turning into heresy after another. I mean, that's all of church history seems to be a twisted bunch of nonsense, and so I felt like, well, God, why bother? Why not just bag it? Why not just kind of slump down into a pew and go along with the same old and not question anything, just play the game by the existing set of rules, whether it seems to be what God wants or not. Why bother, God? It's just going to end up messy anyway. And something I came away from that experience totally convinced of and convicted of deeply in my heart was that He didn't really ask us to prove anything or accomplish anything. He just asked us to obey. And I felt like I could do that. I could look towards tomorrow saying, I will obey. If something else comes into my view that I'm not obeying, I will obey. And if the culmination of that, if you put all that together and it looks like something has happened as a result of that, that's God's business, not mine or yours or ours. He just called us to be doulos, to be slaves, bondservants, to have our ear pierced and to love Him and to serve Him night and day. And when we've done all, we're still unprofitable servants. Whatever history may have shown, I want to learn from other people's mistakes, but I don't need to have the despair that I have to fall into everyone else's mistakes, or that my mistakes can't be redeemed or corrected. I just want to keep going forward, obeying one day at a time, and whatever happens as a result happens. It's not my concern. Jesus said, I will build my church. The gates of hell cannot prevail against. He didn't say, you will build my church. He said, I will, and I trust Him for that. And, His promises throughout prophetically are that He's going to present to Himself a bride that's made herself ready. And I trust that's so. And whatever that may be, I heard a man say one time that people were asking him regularly, is this the last generation? And his answer to them was, well, for you it is. And, I think that's a pretty good motto for us. Who knows what the future's going to hold. Again, back to Hebrews 11, those men died having never seen the fulfillment of what they had hoped for, the city whose builder and maker was God. But they didn't shrink back or turn back to the old city, the old country. They went forward. And so if obedience to God in my daily life and my family and relationships and serving others, having the character of Christ with in every circumstance, if that's what God's calling me to, I can do that. And perhaps He'll use that in our lives together somehow. Are others serving and obeying God in other places? Certainly they are. And we don't claim to be exclusive in any way. In fact, we're totally convinced that God's desire is for this whole city, that every true-hearted believer in this whole city be working together, not separately. No elitism or comparisons or anything like that, but that everyone would contribute one to another. And we need to work towards that and not just assume that it's abracadabra, it's going to happen. We need to take care of the disobediences in our own heart that would cause the problems. And as far as history goes, it's really not my problem. I'm aware of it. I'm probably far more aware of it than most people are. I've gone to great lengths to try to understand what has preceded us historically, to do our best not to remake certain mistakes. But on the other hand, I could just close that all off in my mind and say, look, I've got today. I know what Jesus is calling me to be from a character standpoint, and the opportunities that He's calling me to walk forward in, I'm just going to do it. The rest is His. Same. I'm sure that's got to be all of our attitudes, no matter where we live or what we're doing.